Hey guys, it's DJ. I can't wait until we can get back to things as normal and we can hang out again on Sundays and Wednesdays. But until then, I'm here to share the story of Jesus' crucifixion in Matthew chapter 27. And it starts off with Jesus being brought before Pilate because now he's been accused of blasphemy for calling himself the King of the Jews. And during the trial, Pilate asks him, so are you truly the King of the Jews? And Jesus replies, I am as you say. And all the high priests around just start screaming blasphemy and being really, really nasty to him, just really mean stuff, and bringing up things that might not even be true about him. And Pilate asks, are you going to defend yourself and deny these charges? And Jesus stood there and said, nothing, like at all. And Pilate was so shocked at his humility and dignity, in spite of him really just being beat up and ridiculed for nothing at all. He was an innocent man. And well, later in the trial, you know, Pilate's like, well, on this day, this is a particular, at the time, there was a feast. And during the feast, it was a custom for, Pilate to release a prisoner. And he presented Barabbas, who, was a rebel and a thief and just a really, really, really bad guy. And in the attempt to say there's no way that the Jews are going to choose Barabbas over Jesus. And well, wouldn't you know it, the Jews wanted Barabbas. They hated Jesus because he was a blasphemer. They thought that he was lying about being the Son of God, which he was, but they just couldn't see that. And so Pilate was shocked once again, just awestricken by their hatred, and said, well, if you want to put this innocent man to death, I'm going to wash my hands of it. And Pilate symbolically washed his hands in water in order to rid himself of the blood of Jesus. And the Jews said, it's fine, let his blood be on our and our children's heads. Yeah, they said that. And so they take Jesus away to be scourged. A scourging is really just a really, really bad whipping. And it's excruciatingly painful. It's very, very bad. And after a scourging, then they make him drag his cross up a hill. The hill is called Golgotha. That's the hill that he was going to be crucified on. And so a part of his punishment was to drag that cross up that hill just after being beaten half to death. And there was fortunately a man named Simon in the crowd that was compelled to help Jesus carry his cross up the hill. Just, I could imagine only seeing this beaten man trying his best to get this heavy log up this huge hill. And he just felt moved to help him, and he did. And when they got up there, they nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross and lifted him up. And while he was up there, guys, a crucifixion is not pretty. It's embarrassing. It's one of the most embarrassing ways that they did executions back then. And it was just extremely painful. So, in his last moments while he was on the cross, Jesus cried out to God and said, God, God, why have you forsaken me? He's talking to his dad, and his dad had to turn away from him because in that moment, in order to fulfill, the prophecy and save us, he had to become sin, all of our sin, and he took that on to himself in that moment, and God could no longer be part of him. He had to turn away from his son, who was now the embodiment of all of our sin. And then he died. And they brought him down from the cross, wrapped him up in linen, and threw him in the tomb. And after the preparations were done, they rolled a stone over the tomb. And a centurion reminded Pilate of the fact that while Jesus was alive, he said on the third day he would rise again. And so Pilate said, well, we have centurions. That's what y'all are for. Guard his tomb. And they did that in an attempt to keep him there. I can't wait to see what else happens.